Welcome to the Elk Season Podcast, Season 4, Episode 7. Today is March 27th, 2025. We are 155 days away from Elk Season. We are the Chambers Brothers. My name's Harold.
I'm David.
And tonight on the Elk Season Podcast,
We've got a whole bunch of follow-up stories. We are going to talk about corner crossings. We're going to talk about protests on Idaho lands. We're going to talk about a grizzly bear wandering, some curious questions you have, Elk 101, and the situation we talked about. I can't remember what we talked about on the podcast, but we'll bring it up. Of course, deadheads, finding cool deadheads, and even something that's 2,000 years old. All that and more on the Elk Season Podcast.
tonight on the Elk Season Podcast.
Dun, dun, dun.
I also wanted to say real quick, this episode of the Elk Season Podcast is brought to you by Cheese and Crackers. When you're out hunting, remember, cheese and crackers.
Delicious.
Cheese and crackers are such an important tool, and I know I don't talk about it enough. We talk about food a lot
Yes.
on the Elk Season Podcast. I cannot say enough about cheese and crackers, and we hardly talk about cheese and crackers. It sounds like a holiday treat. It sounds kind of silly, but are they helpful?
Are they helpful?
Yeah.
They're
Every time I hand you a cheese sandwich,
yeah.
it's amazing.
It's fabulous.
Yeah.
And we found various brands of squeezed cheese that are better than others, but the name brand stuff seems to rule it.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that I really miss is the government cheese
Yeah.
in those little squeeze pouches. For whatever reason, I just can't get enough of that.
So, and I have done cheese and crackers in a myriad of ways.
Yeah.
And so you can just buy a bottle of Cheese Whiz and stuff that into one of my squeeze tubes. And I've done that. You can also just buy some Velveeta shells and cheese.
Yeah.
And just take the cheese sauce out. You can.
Yeah.
And it's so salty. It's so salty, but up in the mountains,
That's probably
salt,
close to that government cheese.
that salt hits really, really good. Yeah, and we found a bunch of cool government cheese packets at Winco.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
It was expensive. It was not cost friendly, but
Yeah.
it was perfect for backpacking.
And the cheese, even the aerosolized cheese, I don't know. I call it aerosol cheese because it makes it sound really unhealthy or unnatural.
I call that the aerosol cheese. I call the squeeze cheese.
Okay, yeah. I like
you're
to call it
squeezing the-
aerosolized cheese just because it just sounds terrible.
Yeah,
But it's not.
No,
You can have it on a Triscuit. You could have it on a Ritz. You could have it on a chicken and a biscuit. You could have it on a wheat thin.
you can have it on an elk steak.
You could have it on a Twinkie with a hot dog dipped in milk.
Done that.
We have. And so I can't say enough about cheese and crackers. I know we like to hit the and beat up freeze-dried meal pouches. But those are meals.
Right.
And that's a big deal. As you go along, there's little things you need. Cliff Bars are great, but there's so much sugar, and I'm just craving salt when I'm sweating that much.
I have to be very careful with my sugar out in the hills. I will say this about Andrew, the desert drifter, long live. I feel like he was a kindred spirit with the hiking foods. If you,
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know.
really?
So he would do freeze dried stuff, but he wouldn't knock it the way we would knock it. But he would talk down about it when he was cooking and cutting up fresh vegetables.
Yeah.
And things to cook a lot, because he would bring a whole bunch of stuff. He's like, I can only do the freeze dried stuff so much, and there's no reason why I can't pack this stuff out here.
No reason.
And just have some good fresh food.
There's no reason. I mean, yeah, why are people eating freeze-dried meal pouches? It's just so apocalyptic.
I went to Sportsman's Warehouse the day. It's getting out of hand. We used to have a small section. It's like this huge long aisle.
It's a wall now. Yeah. So many options, and they all taste the same, and they all taste depressing.
I came across a bunch of freeze-dried pouches in all my gear. I don't know, did you give me some and I forgot about them, or did I buy some somewhere thinking that this was a good idea? Because I don't know why I have all this freeze-dried food, except now it's just kind of becoming my quasi-apocalypse kit, because I don't know.
And that's what it's good for. The apocalypse comes around, you'll be thankful you have it. If you're out elk hunting, you'll be depressed.
Yeah.
Cheese and crackers is a better meal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And if you throw some, I still have pictures from way back in the day before TikTok was even a thing. I took a picture and posted it on Facebook. I have a little Triscuit. I have aerosol cheese, and I have on top of it a Vienna sausage.
That's delicious.
Right. And I
That's
put
gourmet.
I know, I do. I did like 5, like there's 6 Vienna sausages. So I put 6 crackers on the lid of my my mess kit. And so they all had cheese and they all had a wiener on them. They all had the Vienna sausage on them. I'm telling you, man, that's a fine meal.
And he even he just throw I'm trying to find the right words here. A
Garnishment?
A garnishment of like a pine tree or something.
Yeah, I should have done that.
Just
You're right.
Little garnishment. Anyway.
So yeah, you weren't prepared for that. I wanted to say something about cheese and crackers because
it's all good.
It's such a staple of my hunt, but it's almost an unmentionable.
Yeah.
But they're such a staple. They're so good.
I can't really go out without it. So if I forget it,
I have some.
I know you will.
I always share.
But I always feel bad because I'm like, man.
It's such a great snack. It's such a great snack. Cheese and crackers. All right.
So let's talk about corner crossing.
Yeah.
So
this is back in the news?
It came back up.
Okay.
So, but it came up in a unique way. I think it was somebody just revisiting this, but talking about, because it was somebody from Idaho taking a look at what happened in Wyoming. Corner crossing. Okay. So people in Wyoming, they actually weren't from Wyoming. They were hunters that were hunting from out of state, from like Kansas or something like that.
Right.
They fly in, they see these checkered patterns all over the place, and they're like, well, if those checkers are public lands and we want to get there, well, let's go over the corners. And so, not believing they were doing anything harmful, they were actually, the first year they very carefully crossed. The next year they brought ladders to make sure that they weren't infringing on any of the property that's butted up on those corners. But they were confronted by the ranchers who own those other acreage, and a lawsuit ensued, and a court threw it out. And the judge felt like the hunters actually went above and beyond what they really needed to do. At least maybe above and beyond was the wrong term, but they took care to care.
Right.
And so he's just, he or she, the judge was like, I'm tossing this out. There's no case here. There really isn't. So corner crossing is allowed in that state.
Okay.
It's not a federal case. It was a state case.
But it is a precedent.
It does set a precedent. And there's a handful of states that have that interconnection, but Idaho is not one of them. So it came up with that whole idea, like Idaho is not immune to this corner crossing potential either.
Right.
So it was just more or less hey, remember this happened in Wyoming. In Idaho, there are no rules and regulations that say you can or cannot. And I know that Idaho recently, in the last 6 or 7 years, updated its private land allowance. So so you can defend your private land more aggressively. Really? Yeah.
Oh.
If you wanted to, I think.
Okay.
But anyway, just kind of one of those things we've monitored. Yeah. It's a big win that we have precedent for corner crossing. I do feel like it seems kind of a sticking point.
Yeah. A lot of the checker pattern corner crossing issues is in a much lower country. It's probably, upland game bird country or migratory waterfowl country. It's not so much way up in the mountains where we hunt elk. Where we hunt elk, we have public lands.
Go on Google Earth sometime and go up to the Coeur d'Alene area.
Oh, I know. You go to Lolo Pass.
Yeah.
So, you go to Lolo Pass in Montana, just outside of Missoula. Lolo Pass, you can see the checkerboard patterns of the forests.
Yeah.
And yes, there are portions of it that, obviously. But these big, deep pockets, right? The Frank Church, the Bob Marshall. There's no corners. And that's the public land I'm mostly worried about.
Right. And I hope we can keep as much public land as possible. I think it provides so much for us, for future generations.
Yeah.
And
for people in other states.
Yeah. And I think there's more and more concern over some of that going away. And so there's actually here in Idaho protests over the last week up at the state capitol because of not because anything has happened. So, part of me is like, well, nothing serious has happened, but I can appreciate the concern that the federal government currently changing its policies and throwing a lot of policies into, I don't know if you want to say scrutiny or under the microscope, They're doing a lot to just take a look at everything and turn a lot of things on its head.
Right.
And so, but here's the opportunity for anyone who values public land use, access, to really join with the voice, to make the voice louder, than to make sure that the concern of it being sold off or privatized doesn't happen.
Yeah, and to me, the argument that they're making is the housing problem.
Sure.
There's not enough houses, so we have to sell public land. That makes absolutely no sense at all.
I think there's several kinds of arguments out there, and I don't know all of them.
That's the only one I've heard. What are the other ones?
I just said I don't know what the other arguments are, but I would imagine there's more.
I'd imagine there might be, but I haven't heard them.
Yeah.
Why would you sell public land?
There was a.
That's my land. I'm the public. I get that money. Right?
I doubt that's how it'll work.
It's not.
but there was actually a panel that was broadcast on one of the local channels of people talking about land rights and things like that, and it was done up at the Grove in Boise.
Oh, yes.
And I didn't catch all of it. I caught enough of it to see what it was all about, and what I was concerned what I was concerned about, not that, I want to have access to the public lands, and these folks, all three of them seem to be sharing that promotion. Let's make sure that any step forward is in the direction of keeping our lands public and accessible. I wish that there would have been an opportunity to hear the other side, just to stay objective, so that if what they're saying is accurate, it makes that other side condemn more.
Right.
But without that other side at the table, that's the only thing that concerns me. We're not having a more open conversation with people invested on both sides. But right now, the world likes to do that to itself.
It feels like, here's what we're going to do. You can complain about it, but here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
I'll listen to you complain, You have all these town hall meetings across America. So, I'm here to listen. Okay, see ya. I listened. I'm not changing anything.
But anyway, it'd be nice to see better, more open conversations about it.
Anyways, that's the argument I've heard. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. No logic in my brain says we need to sell public land to a private company because we don't have enough houses. There's plenty of farmland to buy up. There's plenty of feral farmland to buy up in so many directions.
The thing about the federal lands not going private, I see it as more complicated as we're talking. Some of the other points came up, that I did pick up on. So one of the things about Idaho has a lot of public land.
Yes.
If Idaho gets access to managing all of that land, federally speaking, federal says, hey, you're the state. It's in your state. You take care of it.
Right.
The concern, and I believe the protests were around, well, if you do that, when the state privatizes it and now we're managing it, it's not necessarily about housing as much as, well, where can we make money? And so it's not about building homes as much as it is inviting businesses in and selling things off. And so there's a lot of different logistics that are likely behind why a state would or would not want to sell. I can't remember. I wish I had paid more attention to some of that.
Well, so if we think about it this way, this is public land. It's federal land. Anybody in the United States has access to it, the same access that I do, legally, the same legal access to it that I do.
Mm-hmm.
If the state owns it, maybe the other 49 states don't get access without paying.
Maybe.
Right? That's a terrible scenario, I think.
Yeah.
Because right now, tax dollars, Idaho gets way, way, way more tax dollars for public land than a lot of other states, because we're able to use the federal system to pool that money and say, hey, I know a lot of people from Florida and Mississippi and Texas and Georgia and North Carolina and Tennessee, they all go to Idaho and spend time on public lands, right? So we take that away. It's so many problems. And again, the one problem I heard was in the grizzly bear and the grizzly in the driveway.
Yeah.
And they talked about, or no, it was Mark Kenyon's That Wild Country. That's the book. They talked about how if there's a fire, right now federal dollars fight that fire.
Yeah.
You have state dollars fight that fire, it will bankrupt the state, and we will have to sell massive chunks to stupid billionaires to cut off access. Will cut off our access to those public lands. That's how I see it, and that's the argument that. And I'm paraphrasing Mark Kenyon,
Sure,
obviously, but that's the argument that Mark Kenyon made in that wild country.
Sorry, I just was making sure things were working there. There's a lot of pieces to this puzzle. It's just starting to unfold. How will it shape up?
Yeah.
I don't know. Nothing has happened substantially yet, other than I know that the federal government right now is doing a lot of chopping in various ways. It's upending some things.
I think it's more. I think I'm seeing more hyperbole than anything.
Yeah,
and that's really what I'm guarded against. I know people are saying this on this side. I know people are saying that on that side.
Yeah.
But until something really gets done, we're all just yelling for no reason.
And I think the fear is if you don't yell, but for some people, too much will
You got to
happen.
stand up and say, hey, this isn't right. And maybe that's what they're doing. Let's go, hey, let's see how many people we can piss off. Okay, that was too many. Let's back off. That seems to be a lot of what they do.
Yeah.
But but stand up for sure. Stand up for the public lands. Then thank you for all those who did.
And what was Simpson doing in the news?
So Simpson was talking about wealthy people coming into Idaho and buying large ranches and cutting off roads that run through that ranch to public land.
Yeah, there was a major case of this in the Boise area just a few years back.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
What do you remember from that?
I don't remember a lot other than it was like I want to say 2016 or 17.
Yeah.
It might have been a little bit later than that. But there was this really nice access through some private land to some foothills area, and somebody bought the place and put up a barrier, and nobody could do anything about it. So there's a big you can go dig in the files if you want. It's out there.
I thought there was a law that says if you buy a property that has access to public land, you have to leave that easement. That's an easement.
Yeah,
there should be something. There should be something for that. A public easement. Anyway,
I think it's still ongoing.
Yeah, and so much about. Have you ever heard of the Crazy Mountains outside of Bozeman, Montana?
I think you've told me about this.
Up in the Crazies. The Crazies are a great place. My very first experience backpacking was in the Crazy Mountains on the 4th of July, and the snow was too deep. We had to turn around and go back. It was great. But from what I've heard is so many people have bought so much private land around the Crazy Mountains, you almost can't access most of it.
Oh, wow.
At all. If you can access it through certain ports. But if you try to get into the Pioneer Mountains or the Sawtooths from just one place, that's a long hike, man. It's a lot. So that's kind of what the Crazy Mountains outside of Bozeman are like. So, and I would love to see more information on that too. But having access, public lands are great, but having access to public lands is important. And quarter crossings and easements should be a thing.
Oh, let's see. Where are we at here? There's some good stuff coming up here. Let's talk about the grizzly bear video.
Yeah.
So I can't say I'm convinced one way or the other that it's real or fake.
Yeah.
I think it looks real enough.
Yeah.
But I also know that AI could look real enough.
I found another video. I probably should have showed it to you first. But it's a guy sitting next to a dog. Looks like a Saint Bernard or a Newfoundland, but it's got red hair like an Irish setter.
Okay.
And sitting down, its head is higher than him. Okay. It looks so real. They're both standing, breathing.
Uh-huh.
Right? There's a human and a dog, and you're like, that's definitely AI. Is it?
I don't know.
I don't know. Of course it's AI, right? If you as I'm scrolling TikTok, you scroll to the left, you go, oh, here's the guy's page, and you see all the things they're posting, and you go, oh, okay,
gotcha.
That's what this is all about. And I didn't do that with the grizzly video.
My concern is that none of people vet it at least that far.
Right. They just go, oh my God, dogs are getting so big these days. Oh my gosh, next.
Right.
Oh my gosh, China landed on the moon again? Next. Right? It just doesn't matter. And so many people make up so many things. Let me give you an example really quick. What's under the pyramids? Nobody knows. The fact is, we don't know. They've done some scans, and I've seen some great hypothesis, maybe if the Laginas get in there and they can
for 10 years and a whole bunch of drills.
Pyramids, they need 25 years to get to the bottom of that. But so far, now I'm seeing video that's claiming to be from underneath the pyramids. And it's not. Right? And I'm seeing a lot of contradictory stuff about these things that go down 2 kilometers below. You've seen the stuff, right?
No.
You haven't seen any of the reports?
No.
Oh my gosh. It's absolutely nuts. It's absolutely nuts.
I guess if I was more involved on social media, I might, but I just...
Well, this is not just social media. This is news. This is really big news because they found there's 8 different columns connected to 2 large, like square sarcophagi or just blocks underneath the pyramids. Or so they're saying. Okay. Right? They did this sideways sonar scan and they said this is what it is and people are freaking out. First of all, it's only 1 paper. Second of all, I remember a picture of the Sphinx. The Sphinx in the same general area, very, very close to the Giza pyramids. The same Sphinx, sand had blown up all the way over its shoulders, and so only its head was visible. And you could walk up, and the rumor is, or the legend is, you could walk up and ask the Sphinx a question, and the Sphinx would answer it if the sand was up all around its head, right? But they excavated the Sphinx.
Yeah.
What would make you think that there's nothing below the pyramids? What would make anybody think that they haven't looked underneath the pyramids? Anyway, just that idea alone is like, wait a minute, nobody's thought of that? Ever since I saw that picture, the guy walking up to the Sphinx, I'm like, gee, I wonder what's under the pyramids. Right? Probably, I guess nothing because nobody's ever said anything.
Yeah, interesting.
So now they're saying there's this huge thing, and it's absolutely crazy, but nothing about it has been confirmed. And there's a lot of videos out about it. Is any of it real? Is any of it real? I don't know. I get a lot of
that Idaho's getting real with your needs to be able to identify a grizzly bear versus a black bear.
Very important.
And so I have to go through, and you have to go through, and any hunter has to go through a verification course.
Yep.
So
we've talked about that a couple times.
Yeah, I was reminded today, and I actually totally forgot. Yeah. But I bought my license today.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know about the black bear grizzly bear identification course? I'm like, yes,
of course I
had forgotten, but yes. So, yeah, that's something that we have to look forward to here. And I don't hate it. I think it's good to have refresher courses. Yeah. There's a lot of industry that require that for you to stay up on your game. So I don't know why this isn't a thing before now. So,
well, it just, grizzly bear population is growing and it's a growing concern. So we need to start making sure people are educated in the difference and hopefully it helps. I'm sure sure it will help.
So, but speaking of that, having to go through Idaho Fish and Game to do that course, you said you had a conversation with Idaho Fish and Game.
Oh my God.
Please do tell. You've been making me wait.
I got an email from my boss. It's a voicemail. Hey, this is Terry from the Idaho Fish and Game out in Jerome. Yesterday on your radio program, you claimed that you need a license in Idaho to hunt a shed hunt, right? I go, it's springtime. I'm just having I call it my Idaho Fishing Game Report. It's my radio program. I go, hey, they're stocking this fish pond. Hey guys, rock chucks are out. Don't forget. And so it's going to be a nice weekend. I go, hey, rock chucks are going to be out. So make sure you have your hunting license and you also need your hunting license to hunt for sheds. You don't.
Oh, really?
If you're an Idaho resident, non-residents do need a hunting license in Idaho to pick up a shed. I misquoted. I am so grateful to my listeners.
Yeah.
That they were listening closely enough to pick up on that and that they called Fish and Game. And so I talked to the guy from Fish and Game. I go, buddy, there will be a correction on air today at the regular time. And I said, thank you to him and thank you to Fish and Game and thank you to the listeners.
Yeah.
They could have texted me directly or whatever, or just called the radio station. Anyways, I'm glad that they were listening. I'm glad they corrected me. And it was a fun experience.
Yeah. We have faux pas all the time. So
yeah.
Glad that it wasn't more serious. Hey, unintentional generation of licenses for Fish and Game. Just saying. Whoops. Maybe.
Yeah.
That's good to know though. Because I was thinking about it because of our conversations, I was thinking about that. So I'm glad to have the update for myself. So
yeah, and I knew that, and I've said that before. And as soon as the guy said, "Hey," it's like I go, "Oh, that's right. I know. I'm sorry, I misquoted. I knew as soon as he said." But I'm like, dummy, okay. That's all right. I've said much worse things that I've had to apologize for, so this was not that
bad. Public and private.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, so true.
All right. Let's see. We got quite a few more things here. I just quick follow-up. Elk 101. I don't think we talked about it long on the podcast, if at all, but you showed me a clip of Corey Jacobson getting in a contest against a company.
Yeah.
That was branding their elk reeds with Elk 101. Elk 101 is his branding that he brought to the table. And so when he was parting ways with that company or whatever, they wanted to keep
Rocky
the
Mountain
branding.
Elk Calls.
Rocky Mountain
I believe
Elk Calls.
is Corey Jacobson and or Elk 101 versus Rocky Mountain Elk Calls.
And so anyway, I was at Sportsman's today and I was looking at elk reeds because as an elk hunter, you always have to look at that gear.
Always.
Even though I was just there to buy my license, I had to walk clear to the back of the store.
They know.
Okay,
they
that
know.
and some fly fishing gear. But I saw a reed, and so that's what you're seeing there on the screen is this Elk 101 reed. But it's apparently
still a Rocky Mountain Elk Call.
I should have bought it maybe because it's a relic if you think about it. Because if he's no longer with them, then you can't really get those.
They've parted ways. Yeah.
So anyway, there was just a quick story there.
Yeah.
Should I stay in gear a little bit? There's a few gear things.
Yeah. Why not?
So I was also there on my way out because I'm meandering out the door to get to my license to buy my license. It's actually not busy at all today.
Yeah.
And I get to the cooler section, and last year I told you about a cooler I found at Costco.
Yeah.
It's a nice small cooler. It has a handle. It has a little valve if you get water, but it's a thick cooler. It looks like a Yeti cooler.
Right.
But it's not. It's Coho brand, and I have a different Coho cooler. Absolutely love it. It works, as far as I can tell, just as good as a Yeti. It's nice thick walls, super insulated. And I see that they have the one I have is a big cooler, but then they have a half size one. I was like, okay, it has this little handle, and they were like $60-$70. And I'm like, I don't want to pay $70 for a small cooler like that. That's like, come on. But then I went back in and I saw them there. They were on discount. They had a little star and they were $40.
Oh,
So I grabbed it.
Yeah.
I grabbed one. And I told Vessa about it, and I go, man, they had one of these. And so she goes, you should go back and see if there's any more. So I went back because we want to we don't want to buy like 10 of them, but like a couple of them make sense.
Right.
So I get back and I'm looking, I don't see them. And I find the very last one hanging out on top of the other coolers.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I throw it in the cart. And so I got two of these coolers for $40, $80 total.
Good.
But you can see on the picture here, the discrepancy. This is the Yeti equivalent.
Okay.
At $250.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay.
I totally get why Miles makes fun of him.
Listen, yeah, I know. And Sitka. Right? It's ridiculously priced.
But if you want name brand, I guess to each their own. It just doesn't make sense.
There's enough people out there that just don't care what things cost.
So
they just don't have to worry about it.
But I look at it and I go, that is a small cooler for $250.
Wow.
I would argue in Yeti's defense, the only thing I can come up with here is that my cooler has a nice big handle that has injection points for those pivot points. Yeah. And then it has a spout to release water in case you have something spill. So that's another point where heat could escape. Okay. Hypothetically.
Okay.
So these don't have a big handle like that or a spout. So in that way, I guess it has that much more insulation. But
Yeti's on brand. I mean, they market and they have a great product, and it is close but superior. Right? They're nice. They're just nicely made.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
And
but so is my Coho. So
right.
Anyway, to each their own. That's all.
Okay.
If you want to eat freeze-dried food, Go ahead.
Go ahead. Just don't make me watch.
Fire stick. Tell me about this.
This is really cool. I've seen these before. It's a fire stick. It looks like a fire poker, but it's just basically an extendable, maybe 3 or 4 foot metal straw, like a blowgun.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were peddling.
Yeah, I have a blowgun, but this is just to beef up the fire so you don't have to get your head all the way down there by the coals and blow into the coals. You can put it someplace very specific and get your fire going again. I think it's a cool tool.
Yeah, I really think they should make it a blow dart gun and a fire stick, because
make it an incendiary blowgun. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that way you can kill your squirrel or whatever, and then go cook your food.
First, fill the little balloon with gasoline, then put a match on the end of your tongue, and sneeze.
All right, let's see. Mini Starlink terminal.
Yeah,
we've talked about how the end of wireless is coming.
Yeah, there is no place you won't be connected.
Yeah,
there's no place you won't be connected.
My inReach is soon to be horribly outdated by devices that they're just going to offer.
Yep, just be with your phone.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's coming. I think to my carrier.
Yeah, and this Starlink terminal it's a mini Starlink terminal, and it's on 2 different like drill batteries.
Yeah,
and I'm sure it's working just fine. Right,
yep.
The way Starlink works is the fewer people near you that are using it, the faster it is. And so it's best in rural areas.
Yeah.
And it's even better camping.
Yeah.
Right. And RVing. So it's a big market for that.
I now have an RV.
You're going to need one of those.
I have thought about it. It even has a wire, or it has a solar panel.
There you go.
Yahoo.
There you go.
I didn't get the video, but it's kind of a cool image. It just shows this golden eagle coming in to grab this turkey, and when you had a golden eagle coming in to grab the long pronghorn or whatever.
Yeah,
man,
golden eagles are amazing predators.
I always thought they were more scavengers, but this is clearly evidence that they are not.
They're predators. When I know you don't like me to bring it up, but Wolfer, the book Wolfer, what's his name?
Sorry. Suddenly I can't get it to the front of my mind.
Yeah.
I spent the last week, forgetting about it. It's right there.
Me too. I can't. Anyways, great book. When he was in college, he did this. But and then after that book, I'm like, wow, they really are crazy predators, big, strong predators. So and yeah.
Speaking of predation, just moving right into the next one.
Yeah.
So we talked about this last podcast about bulls going down to the pack of wolves.
Yeah, exactly.
So bull elk. And so it's a bit of a misnomer to think that wolves are taking out our big bulls. Well, hold on. The swing of the story is, yes, wolves are taking big bulls, but it's not that wolves should go away because of it. That's right. I think that's what some people try to swing that as.
Wolves should be managed better. I would say, as an elk hunter, it should be our solemn duty to at least support the wolf hunting and wolf management, good wolf management. Mm-hmm. That's what I think we need. Just a little bit better wolf management. With more elk tags being sold, we just need to bring down. I would like to see the wolf numbers in Idaho at less than 1,000, more than 900, but at less than 1,000, just to bolster the elk and to show, hey, we can manage this in a more holistic environment.
Yep.
So, but yeah,
it's incredible footage.
Yeah, it's really great footage, and it's not a herd, right? It's a bull high in the mountains. And because they're running in smaller groups, they're easier to separate from their group. And if the snow is deeper, the wolves have a better advantage.
It was so obvious that elk in those videos were having a hard time in the snow.
Did you see that one get kicked in the face?
Yeah. The elk kicked a wolf in the face.
Yeah. Wolves don't hunt for fun.
No.
You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't risk that.
No.
For fun. There's no quick care. There's no Advil.
No.
Right?
No.
You don't do it for fun. They're testing that elk. And and that may very well have been a hunt that did not end successfully for the wolves.
Yeah.
They might have wandered off.
Yeah.
So, but we don't know.
I think it was impressive to see how fast the wolves were in the snow.
Oh man.
Wow.
Paws like Belgian waffles.
Because I have seen the elk run away from me very fast without snow.
With or without, I can't keep up. Yeah.
Right. Yes. But here they are, these big wolves just running them just right on their tail.
Yeah.
Just, wow.
Yeah.
It's impressive. You have a really cool deadhead find where it looks like, again, I'm going to speculate on the story here.
Yeah.
These animals were fighting, and one hit so hard on the other one that its antler embedded into the skull of the other one. They got stuck together and eventually succumbed to the elements.
Yes. So what I saw was one side is locked, and like that's not coming out, and so there's still room to pivot. And one of the tines on the other, on one of the bucks, pierced the nose, and you can see by the decay, the one who had been pierced had been dead longer than the one who had not been pierced. And you know they died like that. One of them died, and the other one starved to death.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, it tells such a story. Such a story. God.
But what would be the story behind finding a deadhead from 2,000 years ago that still has an arrow in it? So this is not a deadhead per se, but it's an animal. As they say, a bison or a buffalo.
Yeah.
With an arrow still lodged, he said, in its hip, maybe?
Yeah. Yeah. An archaeologist I just came across on TikTok found some bones. And this is the guy who wanders eastern Montana, wanders the plains and finds stuff. He's talked about a triceratops skull that he found, or triceratops horn. Yeah. He goes, I found something that's cooler than a triceratops horn. Yeah. And I go, okay, I'm staying. I'm staying until you show me. He shows me the bones of a buffalo with a flint-napped arrowhead stuck in its bone from 2,000 years ago.
Suggested, 2,000 years old. Oh my
gosh.
So basically the landscape looks like it's been eroding away, and this kind of was a natural erosion. He just happened to come across it. So what an amazing find. What an incredible story that would be if I could tell it. Yeah. Oh, if I could tell that story. Anyway. I don't know. I just have to dream. Right? Yeah. I just hope I find some of my old lost gear that I drop every now and then.
Some old arrows. Right? I keep looking. I know that one's in a tree somewhere in the Ripper.
It made that noise. It was just like a cartoon.
Son of a gun. Yeah.
Anyway, that's it. That's all she wrote.
All right. Until next week. Don't skip leg day.
Cheers.
Goodbye.
In the morning light, before dawn, bow grip tight, heart beating strong. Through the forest, ancient giants roam. In the land where the wild calls me home. Through the whispering pines and the autumn breeze, driven by the chase, crisp air I breathe. With every step I take, earth beneath my feet. In nature's beauty where the hunter and elk meet. The mountains rise, kissed by the sun. In September, where I belong. Bugles echo loudly through the veil, a symphony of an ancient tale. Through the whispering pines and the autumn breeze, driven by the chase, crisp air I breathe. With every step I take, earth beneath my feet. In nature's beauty where the hunter and elk meet. Silent as the morning mist, I travel on with careful grace. Every shadow, every sound surrounds me in this wild embrace. The challenge and the thrill, the patience and the skill, In the dance of life and nature, my heart's forever filled. As the sun sets, shadows long and deep, I find my place where the memories I keep. The chase and the beauty of a day gone by. Deep in the mountains, my spirit cries. Through the whispering pines and the autumn breeze, driven by the chase, crisp air I breathe. With every step I take, earth beneath my feet. In nature's beauty, out where the hunter and elk meet. Here's to the wild places where the elk and I both roam. The chase that brings us closer to the place that I call home. In the stillness of the forest, in the grandeur of the land, I am one with nature's wonder, with my bow here in my hand.